I, 42 female, got married 4 days ago. I'm sadly writing this during my honeymoon. I've been with my husband, 45, for 4 years. My husband has a daughter, Shiana, 19. I'd asked Shiana to be one of my bridesmaids. Her mom passed away when she was young, and I've always tried to have a connection with her, but she was always very against me. She's tried pinning us against each other for as long as I can remember, or she's just not friendly to me. I've tried engaging with her in things I know she liked. I've tried helping her with college tours. She had spent 3 days at her grandmother's when she found out her father had proposed to me. Nothing worked till I asked her to be my bridesmaid. She was very excited, which I was shocked by, but I took this as my opportunity to bond. I chose a light blue for my bridesmaid dresses, but let them pick the dress, and my husband bought Shiana's since she's in college and only works part-time, and was worried she wouldn't be able to afford an elegant enough dress for our wedding. My husband was also very excited about his daughter being in the wedding. Day of the wedding, I had 2 other bridesmaids, my sister and my best friend. I'm getting my makeup done, and they come up to me and whisper that I have to see what Shiana's wearing and stay calm and not ruin my day. So I marched down to the room Shiana was in to see. She didn't have the dress we bought her. In fact, she had a long white fluffy dress on, very similar to a wedding dress. I asked her what she was wearing, and she just said, "I like this one better, light blue is ugly." I was so mad. I told her she didn't match the wedding party and needed to change if she wanted to be in the wedding. She just shook her head and said, "You can't kick me out, my dad's here." I said, "You can stay all you want, but you won't be in the wedding party." We argued for a few minutes before I finally told her to go find a seat, because I didn't want her to be one of my bridesmaids anymore. She got angry and instead left. After my husband noticed Shiana wasn't in the wedding, he began acting weird. He was very cold and off the rest of the day, even after I explained what had happened. We're at this beautiful honeymoon resort in Florida, and he slept most of the plane ride. Then, when we got here, we got into a big argument about Shiana being kicked out. He didn't see the white dress and the direct defiance as big of an issue as I did. She texted him this BS excuse about how she didn't think it'd be an issue and thought it would be okay. She even pointed out that I was probably worried she'd look better than me, and how she didn't want to ruin my special day. We're not arguing anymore, but he's still a little distant, and we've only gone out a few times because of this. Maybe I should have just ignored the dress because now it's ruining my honeymoon. Not the idiot. She tried a power play thinking you had no choice. You chose and she lost. Sadly, you were unable to talk it out with your fiancé before the actual ceremony, so she may ultimately win by breaking up your marriage. You and your husband need to talk this out with a professional so he can get an outside opinion. She is 19 and knew exactly what she was doing. I agree, she never had any intentions of wearing the blue one. Instead, she used the opportunity to put a wedge between you both. Cold and calculated, and it worked. She bought a white dress. White? Your husband needs to talk to a few more people or just Google it. Only the bride wears white to the wedding. That's common knowledge. But why you married into this situation is beyond me. I don't think Googling it will help him. He's being forced to choose between his daughter and his wife, but he's still trying to walk that tightrope. I could see what would happen from the post beginning. It was a mistake to ask her to be a bridesmaid when OP knew she didn't like her and her enthusiasm should have tipped her off. OP, she planned this. When you asked her to be a bridesmaid, she said yes and started plotting her big entrance on your wedding day. His daughter is top shelf idiot, and if he can't see that, I'd honestly reconsider that marriage. His grown adult daughter tried to upstage you at your wedding. That's just disgusting behavior, and your husband needs to get his head out of his butt and have your back on this, and every other attempt at driving a wedge between you. She's basically one of those people who doesn't want the surviving parent to ever find someone to spend their life with, so she'll be perfectly happy being the only woman in his life, even if that means he grows old alone and lonely. She is selfish and toxic. This would be my hill to die on. Your husband did a crap job raising this brat. Tell him to handle it. I, 23, am the oldest of 5 siblings, and I'm a full-time student. I also have a part-time job in my field, but when I complete my after degree, my employer will take me on full-time. I make enough from part-time to pay for school and put money aside. My siblings range from 20 to 10. Both of our parents work full-time. I've taken on many responsibilities for keeping everything running in the house. I do the grocery shopping and the laundry, make suppers and do meal prep. so everyone has lunches ready to take every day. I also get all my siblings to do their part concerning household chores. For example, my youngest brother is responsible for feeding and walking the dogs, so I ensure dog food is in the storage and poop bags on the leash. My dad works very long hours and my mom works 9 to 5 at a challenging job. Over Christmas, I had a chance to buy a PS5 for myself, so I did. The rest of my family is still using a shared PS4. I keep mine in my room and I do not share. My parents started fielding complaints from my oldest brother about how I made so much money and I didn't share things I bought for myself. Totally true, so they had a talk with me where they brought this up. I pointed out how much of the household work I did and they said it was unfair that I was earning so much money without contributing. They told me how much they expected from me. I went to my room and did the math. If I gave them what they wanted, I would have about $800 a month left over. If I dropped a couple of classes next semester, I could go to almost full-time hours with my employer, and it would only be one more year until I graduated with my second degree. But I could afford my own place and have way more free time and disposable income. I packed up and moved out. Everything I owned fit in my car. I stayed at an Airbnb for 2 weeks until I could get everything sorted out with an apartment, school and work. It was great. I'm not going to lie, I may have gone a little overboard on Tinder. I couldn't have women over to my parents' house, so I just moved into my own apartment. I'm staying part-time until I finish this semester. I will work part-time over the summer and go to a lighter class load, higher work hours in the fall. My parents have tasked my older brother to do everything I used to do. His chores have been split up with the other 3. They're all angry with me for moving out. My parents are upset that I left them in the lurch. My siblings are mad that they all have more chores. My oldest brother is especially salty because he has no free time to see his girlfriend and she isn't allowed in the house when my parents aren't home. I'm enjoying my free time. I bought myself a plant from IKEA. I feel bad for screwing them all over, but it didn't make sense for me to do all that work and pay rent on top. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. This honestly made me smile. I was ready to call you an idiot, but you're carrying the entire mental load of the household. You shouldn't be expected to share the money you earn. Made me smile too, LOL. I think it hurts the parents less than OP thinks. They had a backup in OP's brother, and the brother learned a lesson about coveting other people's things. Also, usually parents don't bring up rent talk unless they kinda do want their kid to move out on their own. My dad started charging my sister and me $1,300 a month in rent at 16 years old, and then tried to sue us when we were 19 to pay him back for living costs from ages 1 to 15. So I can confirm they don't always want you to move. Sometimes they're just my idiot of a dad. OP, they're all just angry that they lost their slave. They're all idiots. Good for you for knowing your worth and taking the time to calculate everything. Don't feel bad for them. My husband has a tween daughter, Maya, from a previous relationship. We have her on weekdays and she's with her mom on weekends. Maya has a weak immune system. She doesn't get sick too often, usually a few times a year, but it kicks her butt when she does. Last weekend she started running a fever. Her mom called us, told us that Maya was sick and offered to keep her until she recovered because she was recently laid off and didn't start her new job for a few more weeks. Here's the thing with Maya's mom. She recently became interested in homeopathic remedies and Eastern medicine. We've gotten into arguments before about it, but as far as my husband and I knew, she didn't have a problem with short-term over-the-counter meds like Tylenol or cold medicine, so we agreed to let Maya stay with her mom. Maya texted me a couple of days ago saying she wanted to come home. I asked if everything was okay and she said yes, but she didn't want to be at her mom's house anymore and wanted me to pick her up. Her mom didn't want to let me in at first, but I eventually got to Maya. She looked horrible. Apparently her mom didn't know any natural cures for whatever Maya had, but thought letting it run its course without any medicine would be healthier than giving her medicine. I called my husband and he met us at the house and took her to urgent care. I'm taking some time off of work to take care of her while she recovers. The problem is her mom is furious with us for picking her up early, keeping Maya home on her weekend, and disregarding her input on Maya's health. Am I the idiot for picking her up early and keeping her here during her mom's weekend? Not the idiot. Get a lawyer involved. This has reached the point where you can no longer trust Maya's mom to properly care for her. The welfare of a child trumps any adult beliefs. Period. This could be life-threatening for Maya. Unchecked fevers and viruses can be extremely dangerous, so you did exactly right to get her out of there. Document this and everything the doctor says, because her mom cannot be trusted to seek appropriate medical care, and you may need to get a court order stopping her from having medical control over Maya. Oh geez, it's just wild to me that we live in a reality where people refuse to take their kids to the doctor because they don't believe in it. Not being able to afford it is one thing, still absolutely obscene, but it's a different scenario. But not believing in doctors and medicine, that's talking centuries of medical advancements and just throwing it out of the window. It's like insisting on walking everywhere because you don't believe in any other form of transportation. Yeah, I don't know why the mother is furious. She should be happy that her child is getting better now. Maya's mother needs a quick splash of reality, and you did the right thing. Also, I'm really glad Maya could text you, or they would have been left to suffer. I met my wife on Tinder about 9 years ago. I was in university and she was working. We both met a few people on the app. When we decided that we were going to be exclusive, we both deleted it together. It was a way of committing to each other. I know it's weird. She still doesn't like that I used it to hook up with girls before we were exclusive. She isn't exactly innocent in this regard, but she says it's different because she dated the other guys and didn't just hook up. Whatever. 4 years ago, her father passed away. It was very sad as he was still pretty young and healthy. She has had a hard time dealing with it and is still grieving. I don't really get it, but I do my best to be there for her. The problem is that she gets triggered by anyone cheating or dying on a TV show or movie. Do you know how hard it is to find a show or movie without that? She lost her temper at the theatre when I took her and the kid to Encanto. She cried for a week when Marshall's dad died on How I Met Your Mother. So I've been making the extra time to watch movies and shows with that in them. I get up early and make breakfast for everyone, get the kid his lunch ready and then start work early. I usually finish up my work an hour or so before the end of my day. Then I stay in my office and watch an hour of something I want to watch. Then I come out, do part of my housework, and spend time with her and the kid. On the weekends, I spend time with them, and depending on the weather, we might end up playing games or watching TV in the house. If it's nicer out, we spend time outdoors. Unfortunately, she caught me. We had friends over and they mentioned seeing a recent movie in the MCU. After they left, she asked me when I saw the movie we were talking about. She knows we didn't see it in the theatre and we haven't watched it on Disney+. So I told her I watched it a little by little in the office. She insisted on going through my movie queues on all our streaming services. Now she's angry at me for hiding and having private time away from her and the kid. I've always made sure she has plenty of time to herself. We budget for her to get girls' nights, spa days, massages, lunches out with friends. I do a lot less socializing than she does. I like TV and movies, and that's how I want to use what little time I can carve out for myself. She says I'm being selfish, and that I cannot understand why she feels like she does about cheating, and that I'm downplaying her grief about her dad. I just want to watch Mr. Robot in peace. Not the idiot, however, it would help if you talk to your wife and maybe get her some counselling. If she's triggered by cheating in a movie, she definitely takes what you were doing early in your relationship as cheating. As for her dad, 3 years is a long time, but by no means an unusual amount of time to mourn, but she might need some help. And she feels entitled to his time and to dictate what he can and cannot watch. She gets nice, costly self-care like the spa and lunches out. OP's interests are far cheaper and less time-consuming, and it is time that he technically be working if he had work to do, the last hour of his workday, and she condemns him for his past. She's keeping score, holding it all against him. A relationship like that is not healthy. Agree? OP, with her policing, what do you watch? That's abusive, very abusive. You're a grown man, you're free to watch what you like in the privacy of your space. She's a strange lady. There are a lot of red flags here. Seriously, don't budget for spa days. Budget for many rounds of therapy your wife desperately needs. I have to wonder why she didn't casually hook up before they committed to one another, and he did. Did she maybe have the wrong impression at the beginning and think they were exclusive? Of course, that could explain the issues around cheating, but it's sheer conjecture. Either way, the lady needs to talk to someone, even if it's just grief counselling. Years ago, I took my son over to my sister's to have a play date with his cousin. We were hanging out on the porch of her apartment building, watching out for cars while the kids played on skateboards in the street. Then, after a little while, my sister asked me to watch her kids while she did a few errands. Eventually, I noticed the kids trying to do a trick that looked a little dangerous. So I told them to stop because they might get hurt. My son stopped right away. On the other hand, my niece refused and immediately fell and totally ate it on the curb. She had knocked out or chipped several front teeth. I called my sister and she told me to take her daughter to their dentist and she would meet us there. Since they were adult teeth, the dentist put back in the two that got knocked out, but they didn't heal and fell out later. So the dentist suggested getting her partial dentures until she was old enough to get implants. My sister's insurance wouldn't cover them though, and she had bad credit, so she couldn't get them on a payment plan. My sister wanted me to pay for her daughter to get partial dentures and eventually pay for her implant. I didn't think this was my responsibility to pay because her daughter decided to do something stupid. My sister insisted, since I was watching her, it was my responsibility to get her to stop. But there was literally no way I could have stopped her. Even if I'd sprinted over in the time between me telling her to stop and her trying the trick again, I wouldn't have been able to physically stop her. So I told my sister she needed to teach her daughter to listen when an adult tells her to stop. Recently, my younger son has gotten self-conscious about his crooked teeth. So, a few weeks ago, I took him to an orthodontist to get braces, paying for them in installments, by the way. My sister is absolutely angry that I'm paying for braces for his crooked teeth but won't pay for her daughter's teeth. My sister was able to save up to get her daughter the partial denture, but she's old enough now to get implants and wants them because she's self-conscious about having dentures. My sister says I should have started paying for her daughter's implants before I started paying for my son's braces because her daughter's teeth are way more messed up. Not the idiot. If a babysitter was watching them instead, would she have sued the sitter for the money then? It's not your fault or problem that she doesn't have the money for it, and their health plan doesn't cover it. The fact that she would expect you to pay for her daughter's mistake over your child is ridiculous. She could start setting back money as if she was paying a payment plan, and she would have eventually saved enough to fix her daughter's teeth. Yeah, she didn't make a savings account and put in like $50 a month or anything. It's more her problem than her kid didn't listen and she doesn't have adequate insurance. If she really doesn't have any money, she could have at least gotten governmental insurance through Medicaid. Not the best, but it covers a lot if you find the right dentist. If she really cared about her daughter's teeth, there are like a dozen things that take minimal effort for her to prepare over the past years for this expense. Honestly, I kind of suspect that sister would have tried to sue the babysitter actually, but I was thinking the same thing. Picking up a side job, even at minimum wage, would go a long way towards covering her kids' dental needs. Sister is definitely an idiot for guilting you about buying dental care for your son who had no part in what happened to his cousin.